watching Property TV.
Hello and welcome to Property Question Time. I'm Stephen Galpin and this is the show where you can have your property related questions answered by our team of property experts. And joining me today is Ryan Hughes, founder of the Mr. Investa concept, who are buy-to-let experts. Welcome, Ryan.
Thank you, Stephen.
Hope you got in here okay. The drive wasn't too bad.
Yep.
Good. Well, good to have you here. John Howard, property developer, investor, author, mentor, TV panelist, and whatever.
And a few more now. I can't, I've just got to keep going, haven't I?
I'm running out of superlatives.
You're about the only person to say that, I think.
Right,
Thank you, Stephen.
Good to have you here, John.
Thank you.
Always enjoy your contributions. Okay, John, we're going to start off with you. And your first question is this. Basically, we've been hit with a bill from the council for our building's rateable value. Our building is on a private farm, so we pay the landlord directly. And we don't meet the annual business rate criteria to pay tax. But they've obviously still found a way to squeeze some money out of us. We are using the premises as a commercial gym. Is there anything we can do? I think you need to be careful with your answer here, John.
Yeah, thanks very much. I mean, you're better qualified to answer that than me, I think, but I'll give it a go as always. I'll give it a go.
It sounds to me like it's sort of paying the landlord on the side. And, anyway.
Thanks a lot.
Right.
So I'll start, if I may.
Please.
Okay. Well, first of all, depending we don't know what the rates payable is, but we assume that what they're saying is correct and that it's under the level, which is what, 12,000 payable, isn't it, something like that?
Well, I've read this question a few times, and I think the optimum word here to concentrate on is farm, because I'm just thinking, are they thinking that there should be some kind of agricultural relief here?
Well, there certainly isn't no relief if it's being used for a commercial building, which it is.
Which it is.
Which it is. So there's no relief in terms of because it's a farm building. There may be relief because it's under the threshold. Now, for me, this rateable value and rates payable is crazy at the moment. The government were looking into this. Rishi has kicked the can down the road again, which I'm really disappointed about. For me, it should be on VAT. So whatever VAT you pay quarterly, there should be a percentage of your turnover that is for rates. It's very simple, easy to collect. Why they don't do it, I don't know, because all this getting re-rated, rateable values. There's people. I'm about to buy a commercial building, and the rateable value is 242,000. So empty rates for that is over £100,000. Now there is a company that will go in for a month. They'll go in for a month and operate properly, pay the rates, and then of course you get 3 months free. So that's what I'm going to do. Well, that's crazy that I should be in that position. Like these people, who for whatever reason have got a problem with the rates. What you normally have to do is pay the rates, pay it, because you don't want to get into trouble, end up in court. So pay the rates and then appeal against it with the local authority. If you need to use a lawyer, and I've got a friend of mine, in fact, I did a joint venture with him on an office building, which obviously during conversion, it was inhabitable, but the council refused to accept that, and they charged us the rates, and we had to go to court. We won, but it cost us £35,000. It saved us a lot of money, but that's not the point. It should never got that far.
I think the point here, John, is that if it was an agricultural situation and it was being used for agricultural purposes, then there would be some relief.
Yes.
But I mean, the court directives on that are very clear, that it must be clearly an agricultural use, and it must be undertaken in a clearly agricultural environment. So it must be surrounded by agriculture.
And also, if it's agriculture, you will have a number, a registration number, as a farmer, and that needs to be shown as well, I believe. So at the end of the day, they're trying to well, they're not trying to pull the wool over anyone's eyes. Clearly, it's being run as a commercial building. They need to pay the rates. If they feel it's unjust, they need to appeal against it.
Well, I think you're right, and I think the moral is here that, you know, if you're going to rent a premises, do it properly, do it within the law, do it with the cooperation of the council, not in conflict with, and just do it properly.
Exactly.
Isn't that right?
Very sensible.
Yeah.
Ryan?
Yeah, I agree completely.
Yeah.
There you go. We all agree.
Okay.
That doesn't always happen.
That's not a bad one, is it then? Okay. Ryan, your question. Having bought a property on a buy-to-let mortgage, I found now I need accommodation for myself and my family. I know it says in the mortgage terms it should only be used for a buy-to-let purpose, but I need to know what the consequences would be of switching it over to my own use. Is the lender likely to refuse consent? And practically, would I be better off just to do it and keep quiet?
Definitely not the latter. Big mistake for a couple of reasons, but the main one, you'll find insurance invalid, big risks, and it's not worth taking. Prior to them moving into the property, speaking to the lender, because we know, why is it a buy-to-let mortgage? It might be a buy-to-let development, and they don't have owner-occupier mortgages in there. Certain lenders we've seen, certainly in the Northwest, have been we don't want to lend on that building. That's only buy-to-let orientated, or that's by a buy-to-let developer. Even if there's lots of owner-occupiers, because no one knows, oh, there's 10 owner-occupiers or 20 buy-to-let in there. They just look at the developer and go, that's a buy-to-let developer. So they'd need to know in advance, speaking to their mortgage advisor or their lender first would be my recommendation, but it would always be changing first. Make sure that you can do it, mainly because of the insurance aspect of it. Everything goes out the window once you start using something that it shouldn't be used for.
Sure. And what would be the financial consequence of changing the mortgage status to one of, you know, owner occupation?
Again, depending on the lender, whether they're on a fixed buy-to-let, I mean, it's a difficult one because we've experienced it where some people will be selling a buy-to-let property because they can't move into it because the buy-to-let mortgage has restrictions. The financial impact would be if it's fixed, if it's a movable or a portable. Every mortgage that I've always had has always been portable, which makes it a lot more flexible depending on what you're wishing to do. Obviously, you can never predict the future, but it's always nice to have flexibility, especially where finance is present.
So it's not just a question of, you know, going back and asking and paying another % or something.
It's not necessarily a percentage game. Sometimes it's down on that building with that lender. They don't want to lend on it for that %. Obviously, a residential mortgage you can get at a lot lower deposit, whereas buy-to-let developments, they tend to be of a much higher, or your 25%. There is lower ones, but some of the developments, the high-rise apartments, you're certainly not getting it on a 5 or 10% buy-to-let mortgage.
Yeah,
they want you to be putting a significant amount in for them to also take that risk, especially if it's not a resale development, if it's a very new development, and depending on where land registry is up to with the change of title, a lot of them still look and go, this looks like it's being bought from the developer, not the middle person.
Yeah, because they haven't,
It's not matured enough, the development. If you've got multiple resales in there, you've got a lot of opportunity for change of use. So if it was a buy-to-let development, off plan, for example, and then over the coming years, they have sold and it's been vacant and they've sold it to an owner-occupier, the buy-to-let occupancy starts dipping as the owner-occupier rates start increasing. So it really does depend on development and the lender, but flexibility when first getting your mortgage for that buy-to-let is a big,
vital, isn't it?
Yeah, I believe so. You want to know what you can do with your finances.
You want to ask the question, Ryan, don't you?
Yes, definitely.
The one thing I would say is, presumably, Ryan, if I had one as a buy-to-let, I could then go to normal, I say building society because that's what I call them really. They're not all many building societies these days, I know. But I could then just apply for a new mortgage on that with someone different and just pay the existing one back and do it that way.
Correct. A lot of the lenders will have flexibility for change of use, but if you couldn't, you may be limited to the lenders that will lend on that because you may have got that development sort of a backstreet lender, if you like, not your mainstream lenders, because it's not commercial enough for them. And then when you try to change it to a residential, they go, no, we don't want to touch it.
Or they don't specialise in that field.
Correct.
To be fair to them. Yeah.
Well, let me just ask you sort of a general question here. It does seem to me that this government in particular is pushing down a little on the smaller buy-to-let investor. And I'm guessing that they prefer to deal with limited companies when it comes to collecting taxation and that sort of thing. And obviously the bigger the entity, the easier it is to collect in a way, because it's easier to just view and monitor. And you've got then pressure coming from, ideal lease standards being set by the government. That's going to be out soon, if not already. Are you finding that the smaller buy-to-let investor is having a tougher time trying to finance what he wants to purchase, or is it just remaining the same? Is there any depletion in that market?
I think you've just mentioned it there. There's two types of landlords. You have the cash rich and you have the people that want to use the finance. I believe people that are using the finance are potentially finding it more difficult. But with regards to the rules and the regulations and the limited companies, it's needed. It's a business.
Well said, Ryan.
It's a secondary source of income. Whether you've got one property, you've got five properties, there needs to be transparency. And there is, it's the same as estate agencies. One does a bad job, everyone gets the bad rep. One landlord does a bad job, everyone feels the punishment for it. But there does need to be some sort of structure to it. It can't be, well, the letting agent looks after it. It's a business.
The thing is, Ryan, it's grown so much over the last 10 years. It's grown so much that the government, they've got to put some regulations in, which they have done. But the other thing that we forget is that the reason the government are so keen to not stop buy-to-let investors, but to slow it down, is because it's stopping first-time buyers getting on the housing ladder. Because if you've got a choice of selling, and I have it all the time, you've got two potential buyers. One's a first-time buyer, one's a buy-to-let. Which one are you going to choose? Buy-to-let every time. 70% of the houses at the moment are being sold to people with no chain. 70%, that's highest it's been forever.
Okay, guys, well, thank you very much for that. That's all we've got time for in this half of the show, so join me again after the break.
You are watching Property TV. You are watching Property TV.
Hello and welcome back to part 2 of Property Question Time. I'm Stephen Galpin and with me are Ryan Hughes and John Howard. Welcome back, guys.
Thank you.
John, here's a quick, snappy little question for you.
Do you know when you say that, Steve? I know you well enough now to know it's not.
Right. My father is considering selling his unique 3-bedroom cottage in a country set in 1 acre of land in Wales.
Right.
And he wants to move closer to the city centre. As the rooms are small, I have suggested that he apply for planning permission to extend with an extra bathroom, an extra bedroom, and then sell the property with planning permission or permitted development to maximise the value, i.e. not doing any building, just getting the permissions. My father believes that any buyer could get their own planning permission and permissions when they buy the house. Therefore, my father has decided not to spend the around £800 on getting the planning permissions. Would the panel agree with my father or try to sell the cottage with planning permission? Could the panel also tell me what the difference is between planning permission and permitted development rights? In addition, how else would the panel add value to a rural cottage before selling?
Goodness me, talk about wanting value for money. That's absolutely ridiculous. I'm going to be here all day. I've got 3 more meetings after this.
You got 4 minutes.
Okay. Well, first of all, I'm doing a joint venture in Cardiff with someone at the moment. That's the first thing. I've done deals in Cardiff, in Wales before, Colwyn Bay, Wrexham and so on. Now, the law in Wales is slightly different than the UK. The rest of the UK, there is no PD rights in Wales. That's
Okay.
the first thing. Certainly not on officers and things like that. So planning permission would have to be obtained. That's the first thing. The question is, sometimes you're best to leave people with thinking there's some potential when they buy, than actually proving there isn't any potential. So if you think you can get planning easily to extend, then you're doing everyone a bit of a favour. If you think it's going to be difficult, I'd just keep quiet about it, and sell it with potential.
Doesn't that go back to the old sort of developer ethos of like,
whatever, do I sound like a dinosaur?
No, whatever you do, don't get a refusal.
Don't get a refusal. Absolutely. You're better off to pull it than get a refusal. So that's really what I would say. What was the rest of the question?
Well, any other ideas in how you could add value before putting it on the market?
Yeah, if it looks a mess, tidy it up. If there's all broken fencing and the gravel drive looks dreadful, tidy it up. You know, if the house is in poor condition, it's in poor condition. There's not much you can do about that. But if there's any sort of real issues, deal with it. So that when you put it on the market, it's looking the best it can without spending a fortune, because obviously clearly they want to sell it as is really, but there's certain things that you could look at doing that will add value. I mean, just for instance, making sure the gravel's not full of weeds and the garden's cut and tidy, all those things will add value. You know, simple as that.
So Dad's got it right, really.
Dad's probably got it right on this occasion, because also our experience in Wales is that the planning permissions take longer than the rest of the UK, and that is saying something, by the way.
But I think, you know, whenever you're selling a property, what you should always remember is that you're selling to somebody who is going to come and look at your house or your property, and they're wanting it to be their dream home.
Yes.
So when they walk up the drive and open the front door for the first time, does it look like a dream home, or does it look like a mess?
Well, it's interesting because most people say that they knew it was a home for them as soon as the door opened, which is strange really, but they honestly get it in their heads that that's the one almost, I think, before they go, which is an interesting.
And I also think people actually have got very little imagination, you know, mostly. They find it difficult if you start trying to describe what you can do, what you're going to do. And I think John's right on that point. Is it best just leave them to their own devices?
I think so. I think
and just say
try and force it one way or the other.
Yeah, there is potential for this, but it's up to you.
Yeah.
You make your dream come true.
I think for me, it's the reason for sale. You know, if you need a quick sale, don't do it. If it's potentially something that you would look to do if you stayed at the property, then it's not wasted time.
That's a good point, Ryan. And market conditions should also come into that. I should just say that. You know, the market is deteriorating at the moment. So actually, you know, it could 6-9 months to get planning. You might end up with less money, but having proved you can get planning than you would now. So timing's everything in this as well.
I agree. Okay, good.
Thank you.
Right.
I take it that was a compliment, Stephen.
You got away with that quite
well.
Thank you. Might press you a little after the show. But, Ryan, I've got here what seems to be a very simple question. And I think I'd like you to answer this. You know, we were talking before the show, and you've come down to London not just to see us, but to do a show here, an exhibition. And you've got some pretty innovative ideas of how you're going to present that, which is all good. We like to see innovation. So the question is a little bit wider than it sounds. How do the experts see the future of estate agency in the UK? And what major changes in operational practices, if any, do they visualise?
The number one key is customer. What customer are you going after? Does this person want to visit the office? Does this person want to sit at home on their mobile phone and buy a property? You need to know what market you are targeting. That is the number one, and that is from an individual company basis. We know who our target audience is, therefore we use the latest technology and constantly innovating to make it as simple and streamlined process for them in the comfort of their own home or on the go while they're traveling all around the world, putting them inside the property.
Amazing.
I think the standards and conditions of a traditional high street estate agent is great if you operate in that radius, but you can't sell a property 20, 30 miles away on that basis of we're a local high street estate agent. We consistently go into different markets and disrupt it with getting the best prices, having the best marketing, and anywhere nationwide. And that's from our company ethos of how we operate. And I think it has to be some of the high street, there still needs to be a middle ground. The online estate agent doesn't fully work. The local high street estate agent doesn't fully work. The hybrid model which we try to operate is we still do viewings, we still have boards outside, we still get all that local high street estate agency passing traffic, people in the local area letting them know about the property, but we also sell overseas. And we're making sure when you're selling the property, there's nothing worse than an off-market deal for a seller, because not enough people have seen it. When you're selling a property, you want as many eyes as possible on the property. When we go into a property, as we're taking it on, we'll do live streaming so people can ask us questions whilst we're walking around the property. Ryan, can you just go back in the bathroom? Can you just look at the ceiling? And then we'll do the complete marketing. So they've seen a preview, 24 hours before it comes back, and the pictures are there, and the 3D mapping that we do. Our 3D mapping is to 5 millimeters of the dimensions of the property. And when you go in there, we can value the bathroom needs refurbishing, £5,000. This kitchen's fantastic, no spend needed. And we can do that, and we can present that to kitchen suppliers, bathroom fitters, and we don't have to disturb, especially in our industry, the tenants. Once we've been in, we say, here's a week, 2 weeks notice, we'll work around you, we're open 7 days a week, what time suits you? We'll need a 45-minute appointment, and potentially we might not visit the property again, because we provide all the information for someone to buy it.
Ryan, that is absolutely amazing, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Ryan, just tell us, you're going to, I can't let you advertise, but you're going to do an exhibition here where you're focusing on your investment concept.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about how you're going to let people see what you're offering.
So part of the 3D mapping that we do are letting people visualize the property from the comfort of their own home or on the go is through 3D mapping of the property, but then we can transfer that into a headset, and rather than click through it on a computer screen, you can step inside the property. So as you rotate your head or you're looking down, you can see the sealant on the bath, you can see the condensation on the ceiling, because it's completely 3D mapped. On the computer you can still do that, but we have a one-to-one appointment that we offer nationwide where we'll bring the technology to you. Everyone thinks technology, well, I don't have that. That's not the point. And a lot of people say, oh, the metaverse, and we'll create a virtual office. It's not about that. It's using the technology that we have now in real time. So not everyone has a VR headset, but we do, and we're not saying you do. We'll come and bring it to you. You may not know how to use it. We do. We come to you. So we deal with a lot of sports athletes, TV personalities, and a big thing is the privacy. We have a lot of people turning up to the properties and they don't want to be seen in the property. This allows us to go to their property and they can see every inch of that property in the detail.
Okay. Well, on that stunning technical
I've been invited, by the way.
Have you?
Yeah, have you?
No.
Oh.
Everyone's
there
invited.
Oh, that's nice. I thought I was, picked out or something.
All right.
We've got you doing a presentation.
Oh yeah, thanks. Talk to my agent.
Ryan, well, good luck with your exhibition.
Thank you.
Wish you the best with that. And is it very good to see innovative
Amazing.
ideas? Isn't
Amazing.
It? Yeah. Okay, so John Howard, Ryan Hughes, thank you both very much for coming in today. Thank you for your expertise in answering the questions.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
I'm Stephen Galpin. Look forward to seeing you next time on Property Question Time.